But that was like sending bulk emails to someone, you're treating them as robots, like they're humans. You have to understand their own emotions. Then I gradually, listening to other perspectives and also thinking on my own. What I did was, for me, personalization was the biggest, like a changing point, because I considered the other person as human.
Welcome to another installment of the Perspective Podcast. My name is Devin. This is my co-host Mitch Harley, and today we have on Jalal Khan, and he is an ad specialist and also has a focus on scaling agencies. And we're gonna pick his brain here. So if you're in any of those spaces, this is going to be a really good one for you. So Jalal, just to kind of kick things off, I'd love to kind of get to know a little bit about how you came to be in the space of marketing. What brought you over there? Did you have a passion for it before, or was it just kind of like a necessity thing, or what's the backstory?
All right. So to be specific, like what I got is that we had a bunch of friends in college, and we were, obsessed with marketing, especially obviously with the business, but marketing was the core like passion that we wanted to follow. And like from the college, we started, marketing little bit things, and then we go on to the exposed to the online world, and where we learned all those skills, especially on Facebook side, like the Facebook advertisement. And then we did local marketing for restaurants and all that. Like, we were four friends, and we did those marketing, run ads for a restaurant back in 12th grade when I was there. And that was quite satisfactory for me. And till then, I got an idea, like, I can do this. And then I began that process, along with, building, learning more content, consuming that, and building strategies from there. And obviously, step by step, clients comes, and that is to experience ups and downs. But the whole journey went along really well. And for me, like, marketing was really a passion. And uh, it's till now it's a passion, because I'm not tired when I'm doing this.
Yeah, that's good. Having that passion for something makes it a lot easier to stay focused on it. One of the things that you said in all of that was just the opportunity to kind of explore all of the options and what was available, and really enjoying that as you were going through it. What did you find along the way that kind of kept your attention? Was it just the creating the content, or was it seeing the results, or like what kept you hanging in there?
Yeah, for me, the important thing was, like, you know reaching out that exact message of business. Like, when I found out that, there is a business and that's isolated, and they want to connect with people, but they don't know, like, why, how will they do that. So for that, I wanted to know about the customer psychology, which is really important to connect minds, and like the platforms, especially, they're doing. So, I also went to psychology, and I studied a lot of psychology books for this, like how emotions works, and how, like, you can use the subliminal psychology, persuasions, and how you can do all the, like, doing all the stuff with minds, and in the penetration, the copywriting stuff, like reading books like the one that the copywriter, I forgot the name, but that was a book that isn't published yet, but that's a really famous book. So that book actually gave me an insight to all the tools that I can use properly to make this message come, to the minds of people. And then I started that, and yeah, it was all along the way of fun. So for me, connecting to those people, and then, using those ads and audience research, finding their different niches, their pains, and then identifying exact the pleasures and pains, and then creating a strategy based on that, so that you can know how to target, and, play with all the emotions that have, like, slight percentage of greed, and then decrease another percentage of sadness, or something. So that was really, a point for me where I thought this is something that I can, give my life to. Yeah.
So that actually makes me really happy because I use this saying in my life, I hate marketers. And but this what I love about this was, and I've said this multiple times before, the success in sales, marketing, management is understanding people. Because at the end of the day, we're in business for servicing people. And I think that you hit it on the head to take the time and research people, understand them, how they think, how they act. You can know how to push the buttons. You can know how to do Facebook ads. You can know how to, purchase Google ads. But to know the content that's actually going to affect the audience that you're going after is so valuable. So I think that's a huge lesson. And I really, props to you for making that connection, because I do think that that's a part of your success 100%. Something I do want to ask is I'll use LinkedIn as an example. We get, I think Devin gets the same things that I do, where we get these DMs and it's like, I'm a marketing company and I can make you 7 figures a year from nothing in 3 days and blah blah, and they just make this huge production of how good they are. And then you go to their page and they're basically just social media management, or they talk this big game. How did you overcome swimming with all of those, well, let's call them sharks, in that media agency building world that's online right now, and set yourself apart so that you could say, look, I'm not this scammy guy over here. I know what I'm doing. I've done the work and I have the credibility. How did you present that so that you didn't just get kind of brushed under the carpet like everybody else?
Exactly. Yeah. That's the issue. Like you pinpoint exactly. And that's a challenge that 99% of the people and the marketing agencies are facing. And like what I was doing is that they taught me, like, to send this DM in this way, and, use this email cold calling scripts, and you do this and that. But I followed that, through 3-4 months. But that was like sending bulk emails to someone. You're treating them as robots, like they're humans. You have to understand their own emotions. Then I gradually, listening to other perspectives and also thinking on my own. What I did was, for me, personalization was the biggest, like a changing point, because I considered the other person as human and wanted to get into his position. And when I was outreaching after that, what I would do is that I would go through the website of a business hat, and I would do a research. I would give time to this, doing a research. Obviously, the first phase was qualification. Like, I should know that the person I'm doing outreach to, is it qualified for me to do business? Obviously, if I'm charging something, for instance, and his net revenue isn't that much, then I'm wasting my time. And for qualification, we use tools. So finding out those tools and then analyzing his data. For instance, we have an e-com. What we do is that we take the basket size. If a business has 200 to 400 USD products, and that's on the whole website, then we take an average. We make a basket size of that overall website, and then we divide, multiply that with the daily visitors. So that gives us an idea of, their monthly MRR, the monthly recurring revenue, and then we just know that the qualification factor, and we go on a step further and tell them that, this is the revenue that you're generating, and here you are doing the mistake. So that's a big going deeper. And when I use this type of approach, giving my time after this qualification, then to be honest, like, I see a big change, obviously, because, and then recording, outreaching through Loom, right? Like becoming, and a video format, so the people can see you. Because for an SMM, the trust factor is what, like, keeping the clients from being with you. There is a big scam in the market, and that's obvious. So you have to present yourself and then know that you're already there. And the other thing was the content that I was maybe on my LinkedIn. I consistently do it through articles or through short videos. So when also the client inquire. They come to the sites, they see that the person is established, everything is there. So that also give an overall, support that gives us, an edge over the normal people who are just doing DMs and are treating the clients like robots.
So those DMs that you were talking about that I really hate, you said that you had been trained to do that. Was that like the college training, or was that like, where did that training? Because to me, that right there, that's what people, they're not making the leap to what you made to say, hey, this is making people turned off. Maybe it worked 5-10 years ago, but it's not working now. Where is that coming from?
Yeah. So for that, what like normally when you see, maybe when you're in a community of the people who are running agency, or maybe people who are, get together, your friend owners, what they do is that they have like, they go on scripts. And for me, like, going with script doesn't involve those exact emotions. If you can't give your emotions to someone, if you can sincerely tell him that your business has this issue and it's costing you money, it's costing you a lot of, clients. So if you can't impart that emotions, like for me, a sale closing is a transfer of emotions. And if you transfer a positive emotion, the sale closed at that time. So for me, the thing was that I wanted everything to give time to, but that should be like professional, and that should be like unique and genuine, not like just a script. So the people were teaching, also they're teaching now, like the gurus, the marketing gurus, they have courses. That there's a big industry over there. People are teaching how to become expert SMA owner or something. But at the end of the day, you have to do everything by yourself, and the scripts and all that you develop, these are just robotic continuation. You have to be more personal, and because relationship is the basis of all this marketing stuff. So if your connection is strong, you send the DM, and that way that I give a hand. Obviously, there's more into this, but stepwise, you have a proper strategy. Like, if I send this DM to this person, then what will I do next? If you respond this, or if you respond that, like yes or no, then what will be your next step? So if you have that strategy in mind, then you can, go on. You can direct his whole pathway in your own mind, in your own planning.
I'll hand it over to Devin in a second here, but I think that that's a huge lesson that we want to share with our audience, because like I'll read Devin messages that I get from people offering to build up our business, and we sit and we laugh about it, because one of the things, like in my on the Facebook side, in the chat, you can have the message requests where they're not friends, they're just reaching out, and all of them are like, we're here offering Google ads to businesses. And I'm like, you haven't looked at what we do. Like, that's what we do. And oh, we're here to promote, podcast production. That's what we do. If you had looked, maybe you could see that you do have something for us to offer, but you're literally offering what we do. That's like being a mechanic, going to a mechanic shop saying, let me work on, I can fix your cars. They do that like that. So I think for you, that smart move is saying, hey, it's worth the small amount of time to look at what they do, where they're going, and decide if I'm going to continue to do my sales pitch. And if I do, I'm going to do it so that I can prove value to them. And I think, to me, that has built so much respect for you and what you're doing in that cesspool that you're working with. So I really, really do commend you for that.
Yeah, thank you for that.
One of the cliches that I often hear is the riches are in the niches, or you're not going to be successful unless you really cut down and figure out what your niche is. And I get that, but there's so many levels where that's applicable. Actually, before we were here to do this interview, we were having a conversation about how we are going to decide to diversify our business, in that, okay, yes, our specific focus is in helping businesses launch podcasts so they can use that as top of funnel content. But then beyond that, there is other steps involved, right? So building out that funnel, writing out your email sequences and getting all that, the rest of that map put together. Well, we have that as part of the product offering, but it's not the main focus, right? The main focus is the podcasting and the content. For people who get that, high-level branding is very important for their specific industry. Now, this only works in these specific industries, but you can see like there's 3 or 4 different layers here in how we niched the thing that we do. I'm curious to kind of get your perspective as a fellow, I guess, marketer or somebody in a similar space. What did you do to niche down your business in a way that made it successful?
Yeah. Initially, this happened to everyone who is in this space. What they do is that they confuse like what niche they should go for and what service they should, opt. And that was the case for me. Like I took a whole 1 month deciding on what niche I should have. But then I sit down and I thought what is like why I'm deciding between e-com, real estate, or this and that if I'm not into those industries. Like I don't know the industries, then how would I decide beforehand? So what I did initially, that I gone all out, right? I worked for real estate, I worked for e-com, I worked for health and all the industries. So I practically know, like at that position, that working with health and working with real estate is different from working with e-com. And there is a variation and the ad strategies and the whole planning that you do. So that was something that gave me practical lessons, and that was the timing that when after some 6-7 months after that, I came to know what I'm the best fit for. So for me, like I would suggest, like if you don't know about an industry, then how can you decide if that suits you or not? Like not just on the gut feeling, you have to be practically there. Like what we do, like in the trading, if you predict the trading pattern by gut feeling, then you're gone. What you have to do like technical analysis and fundamental analysis, and that's a practical way to do. So that was how like I went through the process, and I started like and I agree, and I follow Alex Hormozy. He is the guru, and then reading in his podcast, listening to the podcast interviews and reading the books, I knew like this is something that's more when you go down niche down, your value increases, your offers become strong, and so but I followed through that way, and then obviously I niche down to the specific niche that we have, and then we created the offers, which were like no offer at that time. So that actually and the thing is, if you create an offer and you don't know how to deliver to that exact market, like the segmentation, then obviously you're lost. You may have the greatest offer, but that deliverability is the key to rising. And like if I tell you, well, I approached a business and I told them that I will scale your business, and this time, in 1 month I will double your sales, and he just asked me a simple question: have you done this for yourself before? And like at that time, my page views, my page likes were like less than 100, and I told him that I will make your followers increased with organic approach. And he saw my post and sent the screenshots like, what about this? You should work on this. And that was the time like I thought that, bro, first you have to make yourself at that position where you can tell and where you can exactly show. So that was the key.
So you really actually focused on building your own social proof before you approached businesses after that. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. Yeah.
How important is that in the public perception? And I'm going to just preface this actually. For us, it's not necessarily how many people watch every single video we ever put out on every platform that we put out, and we put out a lot of content across the board. Probably 50 or 60 pieces a day if you actually, factor in all the different elements. But we don't have a huge following. And the thing is we didn't necessarily need a huge following to have conversations with people that would be the best fit for clients. And when the question is asked, well, why aren't you guys famous? Well, it's not because or because we don't need to be famous. We need to go deep with the people that we want to work with, and having an opportunity to have a deep and meaningful conversation with them to establish that, yeah, we know what we're talking about. That's when the scale tips over for them and they go, oh, I see. Okay, so their focus isn't on being famous. Their focus is on finding the right people and having meaningful conversations, and as a byproduct, helping other people along the way. So, I mean, how do you navigate that in the work that you're doing?
Yeah, you're exactly right. Like one is that becoming famous. That's a more of a quantitative approach. Like you want numbers to come and to show to the world that yes, you are. And the other side, there's a quality that you're providing. Like in the sessions, if a client watch all the discussion, they actually they like you completely give your inner whole environment. You tell everything, and they judge, like they know that how much you know and what's your position on the educational level and the background, all the stuff. So when you open up, then the client understands. So in this one session, the client knows that yes, he is worth this, right? But for me, this is the main thing that I want. Like I want to have like those quality content uploaded, no matter who watch it. But the thing is that if a client comes and he see that yes, content is there, right, and and he know that yes, this person is producing such content, and that resonates with his thoughts, with his feelings, and with the exact ideal. And what I do, like this content, such type of content is actually it's a building of trust. It's a decreasing of that issues in making decisions and all that. So that's a factor. That's a one factor. Like getting famous is something apart from the quality, obviously, because if you see memes take millions of views and minutes, but compared to the educational content, which is struggling to get views. So psychologically, people are more into the fun thing at that position. The quality needs time, it needs persistence, efforts. But in our case, and the agency and the marketing case, we have the quality is more important for us. Obviously, if we are just going out, as I told, personalization is the key. So we are approaching them as person. So we are showing them what we do as person.
I think people mix up the difference between stats for entertainment and education, like you said. And we'll use some examples here because I think this is extremely important for people to understand.
Mhm.
Why do movie stars and athletes make more money than professors? And at the end of the day, they have a bigger following. You can go on TikTok and you can see celebrities have millions of followers. To what end? Whereas you can have a business on TikTok that has 1,000 followers, 2,000 followers, 10,000 followers, but they connect with their audience, they connect with their clients through it. And so you have to separate those things. Being famous, how do you be famous? You get in front of the most amount of people, and that's it. But to build a business, it doesn't matter what good, we've mentioned this before, what good is 1 million followers on TikTok if not one of them is a client? What good is it as a business, as a platform? And the other perspective too is each platform has different discovery styles. And that's why, like, you can have you can have crap content. You can have content where you're like, oh, I'm drinking an energy drink on TikTok, and you'll have 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 views. You'll gain 500 followers. But you do that on Instagram, you'll get maybe like one. And you do that on LinkedIn, and you'll get none. So to me, when you look at someone, if they're on LinkedIn, people are going more for education. So that's maybe a little bit different. But if you look at the different platforms, someone that has 1 million followers on TikTok does not have 1 million followers on Instagram or LinkedIn or Facebook. They're different styles of connection and discovery. So I think this concept, and I'm guilty of getting caught up in this as well, admittedly, that when someone tries to tell you that they have the lended credibility and you go look at their following count and go, well, you only have 50,000 people. Do you know that 50,000 people would fill up a stadium? Like, let's put this in perspective. I even looked at one of my personal videos that I put out. It had, I don't know, on the small ones, let's say five to 800 views. And out of those, the actual engagement on those was, let's just say 40 to 75 likes on this post. And if you get caught up in the million or 100,000 category, you think, oh, I only got 75 likes. I can't fit 75 people in my place. So if all those people that supported me and actually took action came in here, I couldn't facilitate it. So I think it's our view of what is credibility, what is lended credibility, what is social engagement. I think it's very skewed because we keep seeing these people that hit, a million fans because they have an OnlyFans or because they can dance or because they're good looking. Like, let's be real. TikTok right now, if you're a good looking girl, can get the views. But does that benefit your clients? Does that benefit who you're trying to service? We have to look at it from a business perspective, not from just an entertainment perspective. And I think that's a very important thing to distinguish. And I think the clients that all three of us run into can have that misconstrued perception of the marketplace and the consumer base. I don't know if that's my rant about that.
Yeah, but and Jalal, how do you deal with that? What, like, especially in your industry, because you faced it yourself, right?
Yeah, you were right, Mish. The thing is that, as you told, there is more, and as I told, that's a market selection, right? The people go broad, like as you told, of the influencers and all the people psychologically they connect with that sect of population which is more into so entertainment and all that. Obviously, that's in nature. Entertainment is the highest peak emotion. So for that, they have their spot there. But the thing is to properly go on, to look at the business perspective, you have to, like, the market selection is really important. If you don't know what content are you producing and for whom, if you don't know your audience, then if you have a million views and you don't, as you told, like you don't have the exact numbers which can become your possible clients or which can with whom you can connect, then that's not that much beneficial, and not at all. So as you told, what we do is that focusing on getting into those exact, like if there are SMMA owners, like if I'm giving client closing service, then who is my target market? That's owners. And I won't be going on broad to everyone, like giving this. I would obviously go to the people who are owners. And if I got following there, if I got views there, then that's worth it. Then just going on random and just showing others that I have this much followers and this much views, which is just a wastage of time, maybe. So exactly that's how we also do deal with that. So a market fit is really essential, and qualitative approach on content and also on the social sides.
When you are now approaching and talking to these different business owners, what do you find to be the I guess I'll call it currency that resonates most with them? I think this is something that a lot of people struggle with, in that I don't know what's important to my client to some degree. I have clients whose most important thing to them is leaving a legacy. There's no monetary output for that, right? Whereas I can have a smaller business, like a tattoo shop or something like that, for example, and their currency is, well, we need leads. And if we don't have leads, then you're out. If you're not bringing people through the door, then you're out, right? With e-com, it's completely different. The currency there is like, I can get you more conversions, or I can increase your cart value, right? So what do you find to be the most common in the spaces that you're working in?
Yeah, the common thing is, like, an obvious one is, as you told, the purchase, the result. Like, what you do in the e-com, basically, also people are here, and that's maybe a bit odd, but like people prefer long-term partnership. Like if they are giving us their money to spend, like they trust us, obviously they have the right to know what we have done in the past. If I'm giving something, like if I'm spending maybe a 2K and give this amount to someone, then I should trust him. So for that purpose, they have the key factor as the capability of the person, so that they can trust. The other thing is that they wait for at least like a week or so, just to give you time to scale up everything and do the initial strategies, and scale up the stuff to the initial phase where you go on and testing those ads and all that. But then after some time, they also, and that's responsibility to give results. If you don't give the results, then they won't consider you, and that's obviously then the credibility factor comes in. But the results is, I think, the most important thing that people will look at in ecom. And also, as I told, the long-term vision is really important here. If you're building a store from 20K to 50K, then that has an unlimited potential. It can go to 100K, it can go to a million. So for that, if someone trusts you, if you brought revenue to a store, then the client won't leave you. Then, like, it's a personal experience. If he got the revenue through you, then a psychological connection builds up, and he won't want to leave you. And that is the thing that you can also, like, strategically, you can have your offer increase, and you can stick to that. But if you prove yourself wrong at the result side, and maybe weak on the result side, then that's not how things will work, and the credibility and everything will lose, and your connection building will also stop.
Yeah, because if you let that client down, obviously they're not going to speak highly of you to anybody else that they talk to, so that can really significantly damage your reputation. In a situation like that, what do you do to recover? Let's say you put together an ad campaign and it's not working well. What's next steps for you?
Yeah. So initially, when the client comes, like, we tell them, we will burn this amount. Like, you have to have this in mind, that this much amount will not be yours and not ours. This will be a Facebook or any platform. Like, we are just using this amount to acquire our exact fit. So we mentally prepare them for that position. But obviously, we know, like, it's algorithm, all the aids, the platforms, it's algorithm, and it's predictable. So, like, there are parameters, there are creatives, there is copy, there is the landing page, and the all the scripts and all the content that you put in. So, and that has numbers. Like, initially, I used to, like, number the creative maybe 1 to 10, and on every, like, there's a testing. So if you can give your all into to all these parameters, then the algorithm will give you the result. And so on that level, we know, like, we have a strategy. We know, like, how to use it. But as there are cases that it fails, sometimes it doesn't bring results, we have a guarantee in place, and obviously we don't charge them further, and we tell them, yes, this is the fault, and now the decision is here. If you want to wait and see, like, we are also into this, then we double down on the work. And some client understand, obviously, because you have to change the strategy, shift everything, but the amount that you spend on the ads, that's lost if you didn't improve the result. And then we also suggest them, like, there may be some problems on the product side and the offer side. You have to change that. And, like, we then revisit everything. Maybe if the ads are not working, then the product isn't that good enough to attract those people. Like, everything has its own contribution, so we revisit everything. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I like that. I like that point, because even if you have a functional product that maybe in itself is good, but you're competing with the exact same thing over here, and maybe they have a credibility, maybe they have a history or a connection, or there's just something different, and the sometimes sentiment overtakes common sense, or takes logic overtakes logic. And I find that that's a lot of people, they're holding on to things over sentiment, and they won't let go of something. And so like with some of the work that we've done with, sales training, it's not about necessarily how to sell, but it's system selling. And I think marketing is really important to facilitate that, because if you can create proper system selling and packaging, then it makes the marketing a lot easier. Do you find, like, do you get involved in any of that, or are you just kind of at the mercy of what the company has to offer and you just do the best you can do? Like, do you cross over there at all?
Yes, like it's everything is connected, right? If we brought the appointments, maybe like if I bring appointments like for non-e-com business, if you bring appointments, like convert the leads to appointments, and then your sale team isn't that good. Like this is a conflict, that happens frequently. The sale team on that side isn't that good, and then they blame the quality of the leads, and that is the issue. So first, what we do is that we have that analysis session, in which we tell them that who is your sales team, and I personally, ask questions just to judge like at what position they are, and if I see that they aren't that professional, so what I do, like I have my own guys, and I offer them that we can also do this thing for you. Like my guys can do this for you, and they can maybe train your guys or something. So like that's totally dependent, and that's obviously dependent on the results. Like if you're charging a percentage of the profit, then you are a part of that business. If you brought the profit, then obviously you will be paid. If not, then you are out. So we have to look at everything at that point. So yeah, that's really essential. At each point, putting those exact values at each spot, the creatives, the sales, the appointments from leads, and the follow-up systems and all that, that actually contributes to something productive and result-driven.
I actually had a client that was exactly that. Horror story here, just a warning ahead of time. But it was a kitchen cabinet company, and they install kitchens, which I don't know. Here, it's really expensive in my neck of the woods. It's like anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000. Just kind of like that's the entry level. It can go significantly higher than that, but generating leads for a business like that's a little bit difficult. In that, you got to find people that are in the right place at the right time, because not everybody has that kind of money, and B wants to redo an entire kitchen. So he came to us. We put together a whole campaign, and in the first month, we sent him probably 100 leads off of a $2,000 ad spend. And when it came time to kind of like renew this, and okay, how do you like the results? 100 leads, $20 a lead is like phenomenal from our perspective. And he comes back with, 100 leads is one thing, but I've got 0 sales out of it, and I'm not interested in moving forward. And so we had to kind of take that step back and go, okay, well, the targeting was there. I know that it was, because we get scores and data. And when you compare it to other successful campaigns, it's clear that, when you spend X amount of dollars, you get this much exposure, these many people take action, and now you're having conversations with 100 people. That's a good campaign. And then I was like, hey, you mind if I just log in and kind of take a look at what's happening on the other side? And I did. And here's the thing. I'm looking and reading through all these messages. The guy's not responding. Like his key sales guy's not responding. It's taking him 3, 4, 5 days to get back to these people. Half of them are like pretty girls, and he's just hitting on them, like blatantly hitting on them in the DMs. Like at some point, there was a huge disconnect between the marketing team bringing in these leads and his sales department actually like doing something meaningful with those leads. And it was a hairy situation, and needless to say, they didn't continue working with us in spite of the results, and it didn't turn into a good testimonial either. And so, facing that as an agency back in the day when we were doing stuff like that was really difficult, because it seems dire and hopeless. Being at the mercy of somebody else's sales team to be able to handle this kind of stuff. And like you said, being able to take over that part, having a vested interest in, like if you get a percentage of the profits, those are all really good solutions to those problems. One thing that I see now in the space of marketing is the advent of things like new tools like AI. and every week a new version of ClickFunnels comes out with a different name, and everybody's trying to kind of take up that software as a service space. And where do you see the industry going in the near future in terms of like the development of some of these things? Do you think AI is going to replace a lot of the people in your business, or are you currently and actively looking for ways to install that in your business? Like, what's your take on that kind of stuff?
Yes, I think that's a reality, and we should accept that. Like, not a whole replacement, but in the marketing, what will remain is the psychology, the own nature of human. Like everything goes around the psychology. So if you know emotions, if you know how to manipulate the minds, so you're ahead of others. The rest, the algorithm is taking over everyone. Like I was comparing the copies. Like, to be honest, I wrote a copy on ChatGPT, and there was a guy who wrote the copy, and then I compared. And when you give that exact formula to the AI, that gives you the result. Like they were open end loop and open loop and all this the stuff that they use in the copy, and that copy was better than the person who wrote. But the thing is, like the the algorithm is something that is learnable. Everything it can be learned, and like we have seen practically like how things got changed. Like we couldn't even imagine that, like just putting words can also create your videos. Like, so I was recently, a tool came and I put the title only, like how to get this much client in 1 month, and then it created the whole script, and then also it created the voiceover. It then created the music for that, and the next step, it created the whole video. Took the content from all the libraries and created the video of short form, and then it delivered it. So, like, if I would be doing this, then it would take hours, right? So I think it replaced the editor, it replaced the voiceover artist, it replaced the script writer, the copywriter, and this one shot, it replaced a lot of people. So that's a reality. But as I told, the human mind is there, and the whole game of the upcoming marketing will be based on those manipulation techniques, advancement in the dark psychology side, and then using those secret, because algorithm is fixed. You will put the value, everything is coming to predictability is increasing. So the variation will be less, right? Like if you have audience selection this side, which is currently the audience selection, you have to find out the pains and all that, the whole stuff. You do have to do the research. Then if algorithm is doing that for you, it saves you a lot of time. You just have to put values, it will give you the result. But how you do that, the understanding of that exact psychology is what will, as I told, make the difference.
Basically, what you're saying is this: the real difference in what's happening right now is we used to dig ditches with shovels. Now we dig ditches with backhoes. It doesn't take 100 men; it takes one man. And
Exactly.
because of that, we're getting better and more efficient at what we can do.
Exactly.
But those other 99 men, they're
What
not
are we going to
sitting
do with them?
they're not sitting at home on the couch. Like I think this concept of this is going to take our jobs, it just means that we have to do different jobs. It doesn't with that concept, with all the technology that we have in the world, why is 99% of the people not at home on the couch? If all this technology took all our jobs, but there's jobs now that were never there in the same industries. There's jobs now that were never there before, and I think that that's such an important thing to consider. Like, if you don't live in fear.
Yeah. To add on to this, what we have seen, in this 20th industry, like how many, like thousands of new industry created. And so the previous one is, for you to forget the past and, to create the future. So a lot of industries, finished, but new industries created. And this is how, like, if people will say that, there will be joblessness, this is the whole survival of the fittest. And has like if you see Noah Harari, and if you might have seen the 21st century, 21 lesson for the 21st century, he says that if you can't cope up with those exact the rhythm of the civilization, then you're behind it. People will they will walk over you, right? So the thing is, if a job is if someone is an industry is dying, the other one is being created. But psychologically, the shifting from those old patterns to the new one is really slow. So people takes a lot of time to shift to exact those people. Like the AI revolution and all this artificial intelligence and the machine learning, and this revolution is so fast that people are yet to consume that content. Like the new tool every day, a new tool is coming up. So how will people cope with that? And this is a whole bunch of new materialistic things that you will have to consume, and it's a mind, and so people are not yet prepared at that position, but slowly and gradually things are going to change. And the one who didn't give the exact, like currently, uh, doing the right decision at the right time is really important for me. Like if you are doing marketing and you don't use the tools that you have and others are using it, then they have edge of time over you. So if you're achieving a result and one day they are doing it in in 1 hour, so it means that their revenue is also 23x more than you. So it's a time to revenue to energy ratio.
Yeah. I also think too, just sorry for 1 sec, is the people that worked at Blockbuster are not jobless. And the people that worked at video rental stores, they're not sitting at their couch saying, I don't know because Netflix took my job. Netflix didn't take your job. Like it's and no one would sit there, no one would argue me on that. But you find a marketing agency that thinks print media is the only way to advertise, they will sit there and tell you that AI has taken their job, that social media took their job. It didn't take their job. But you're still trying to cut down a tree with a saw and not a chainsaw. You're trying to cut it down with an axe. That's the difference. The chainsaw didn't take your job.
Exactly. Like we have this internal thing that we blame others. We blame the system. We blame the people, the leaders. We don't blame us. Like if their thing is taking my job, then what should I do to take my own to adjust myself? Like what's my responsibility? I should change. That's a human of nature to adapt to the situation. But they're not doing that, and they're not following those exact things that are coming through. But they're saying that they're becoming jobless. And humans are not static. You have to change.
Well, the minute that you place blame, like, oh, the chainsaw took my job, or oh, it's the government, or oh, it's the system, or whatever, as soon as you do that, you give away all your power. You can't do anything anymore. But as soon as you accept responsibility for it, that you have some power to take some action to do something about it. And like a perfect example of this, we as it's a human society tend to overcomplicate things, but it really is simple. It used to be that we all could just live in one small area and we could farm a box of land. We could plant some things there and then they would grow and then we could harvest them and then we would eat them. And, maybe we had some livestock and things like that. And it was just a little area and it was good for the 10 or 15 of us or 20 maybe in that family. And as we started to evolve and things changed, well, one of the guys on the farm was like, what would be really cool is if I didn't have to use my hands to dig this hole. If I could just get the cow to pull this plow, I would be happy. And he did that, but it made it so that 4 other people now no longer had to dig with the shovel. In that example, do you think the 4 people were happy or angry that they didn't have to dig with the shovel anymore? That the ox or the cow or whatever was doing the work now. And that's exactly what's happening in the world. But those 3 or 4 people who don't have to dig anymore, they have an opportunity now to do something different with their time during the day. So what is that going to be? Maybe they figure out a new way to advance the irrigation system or something, and they learn something new, and they go and they look at the river and they look at pipes, and maybe they set up a windmill, and now the windmill is doing the job of the wives who used to grind the mill. this is how it's all changing, right? Fast forward now, we're in the age of computers and all this other stuff. And we just had a conversation with a lady yesterday who is a expert copywriter. And we talked about this chat GPT thing, and she was like, no, I use it on a regular basis. And I'm also one of those people that as soon as I saw it come out on TikTok, I'm like, I'm like signing up for the beta, trying to get my email in there as fast as possible, because you know what I don't like doing? Spending 4 hours trying to write 10 emails that are really mundane. It's simple stuff, but I have to physically type it out with my fingers. But if I go to ChatGPT and I give them about a paragraph of information and I say, hey, I need you to write this to this group of people with this kind of tone, in this style, and then it spits out 10 emails for me. And now I take those 10 emails and I physically go through and read them, and I'll edit them and I'll tweak them. But instead of it taking me 8 hours to do that job, it took me 2. And when you said it, you get an advantage of time because you're already accepting that. Man, that really resonated with me. And I think anybody listening to this that's resistant to new technology or new innovations is really doing themselves a disservice and could possibly stand to benefit from maybe signing up for a beta with ChatGPT themselves. Jalal, you've been incredibly generous with your time, and I'm very grateful for you sharing this with us and all of your knowledge and insights. We're kind of reaching the end of the hour here, and I do have one more really important question for you. If you were to offer anybody who could benefit from it a single piece of advice that would help further the work that they're doing from your perspective and with your expertise, what would that be?
All right. So from my perspective that I've learned through these years, there are 3 things that you must, this is necessity. The first is discipline. If you have a discipline in your life, you can do anything. Like personally, I've seen this, and I was a self-learner, and I had to convince myself and to have that system in place. The second is consistency. If you're doing something, like I will give you example of an Atomic Habit, the book that that you might have read. And that book, there's an example of an ice cube that's there. And when you increase the temperature by 26 and 27, 28, and slowly, and on 32nd, it melts. People just see that from 31st to 32nd, this was the temperature that melted the ice. But it was actually, it was a whole steps from 26 to 27, 28, 29. So everything gradually combines to give you that exact effect, that exponential change. So that's consistency. A 1% improvement on a daily basis is what gives you a miracle in your life. And the other thing is changing your beliefs. Like everything is there in the head. So if you can't change it, you're fixed, then you're going nowhere. So I think these are the things that if you properly analyze this and sit and work on this, and I believe, and one thing more I want to add, that setting goal is great. If you hit that goal, is that I will reach this amount of revenue or this shape of health or this and that, that's great. But making a system, a day-to-day system for yourself is superb. It's a one step further than that, because at the end of the day, you are following the day-to-day system. If you're not doing something and seeing those goals, those big numbers, then you are making yourself sad. You're just making your life more miserable, and postponing the happiness isn't the goal. Enjoying at the moment is what we have to do as humans.
That's brilliant, man. I love that. Excellent piece of advice. If somebody wanted to find you and work with you or get a hold of you in some way, how would they do that?
Sure. They can go to LinkedIn. They can search by my name, Jalal Khan. And also, I have a website. They can search in search video. It's on top of Google. They can find it. Also, I'm available on Facebook and on other platforms also. So by the name of the same, Jalal Khan. So they can search me. Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. We'll make sure to link to that in the show notes. Thanks again for spending this hour with us and sharing your insights, man. It's been incredibly valuable. If anybody wants to get in touch with me or Mitch for any reason, visit theperspectivepodcast.ca. Otherwise, that's it for this episode, and we will see you in the next one.